Hello, everybody, and welcome to Life on Mars. I'm Alex, CEO and founder of MarsBased. And in today's episode, we bring you Szymon Boniecki, co-founder of Monterail, also co-CEO of the company that was founded almost 15 years ago. Monterail, it used to be a Ruby on Rails agency. It started off as such, as we did in 2014. They started a little bit earlier than that, but that was one of the companies we look up to, and we, in fact, worked together in a project or two in our early beginnings of Mars days. And with Szymon, we actually have a very, very insightful conversation that goes two ways. We keep asking each other about the future of the company, the future of the industry. How do we perceive AI? How is this going to optimize the kind of work that we're doing? If that will help you to reduce the cost of the projects or the increase the development pace and whatnot. So this is a two-sided conversation with two people running companies that are bootstrapped, that are on the boutique side of things, but have pretty different philosophies about how to expand the business. So this conversation is pretty interesting for people who want to start a consultancy, a studio, an agency, whatever you want to call it. So without further ado, let's jump right into the episode. I'm excited, and we're live. Welcome to the show. It's funny, we connected at the very beginning of the creation of MarsBased. We reached out to the companies that we wanted to be like, and Monterail was one of them. We said, how many companies out there are doing Ruby? And it was not surprising that not many big companies were doing Ruby. Perhaps there was, Rakuten, there was GitHub, Airbnb, and the like, but no corporate agencies like the big fours weren't doing Ruby, so it's mostly boutique agencies. And you were one of them. You were one of the very few that actually answered back. So thank you for that. It's great that we stay in touch. We actually worked together in a project in 2014 or 15 in the very beginning. I don't know if you remember that, but and after that we haven't kept in touch. But I have been following your newsletter, blog, and 14 years. That's a hell of a run. Congratulations for that.
Thanks, Alex. I've been following podcasts and everything you do as well. And I really liked. I remember that you've mentioned, we just started. We want to be like you, and I was like, wow, someone wants to be like us. We just started anyway as well. So let's see what it has to say.
It's funny because now we're getting these kind of emails ourselves where somebody is like, oh, we're creating an agency. We want to be like you. I had 2 meetings last week in Madrid, and they're like, we want to be like MarsBased. We follow your podcast and whatnot. So in a way, it's a way of paying back, right, to the ecosystem. So I think there can be so many lessons learned. On the other hand, I think, well, we're not that big of a company. So yeah, I can tell you the do's and don'ts, but mostly if you don't experience yourself the fuck-ups, you will not learn from them. Like we have never learned from fuck-ups from other people. I don't know if that's the case with you guys. Who were your inspiration when you started? Thoughtbot, yeah.
And then on the way, a couple more. At some point, I wanted to be like ThoughtWorks. We're not quite there yet, but I think Thoughtbot is still a pretty good benchmark, honestly.
It's funny because Thoughtbot was the other company that answered back. I think it was only you and Thoughtbot of the entire world. We sent out an email to like 60 agencies. Maybe Plataforma Tech in Brazil. I think those guys answered too. I remember talking to some Brazilian dudes back in the day. Thoughtbot, funnily enough, we made a really good friendship with one of the managing directors who quit the company shortly afterwards and started working with us. And I think that was particularly helpful. But I don't know, what is the thing about ThoughtWorks that you like? Because I think more like into the consulting more than developing, right? They're both of a reference. They're a reference in both worlds, but I'm not following ThoughtWorks that much. I'm not that familiar. What do you like about them?
And they also begin with thought, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're misleading.
Yeah, we should change our name to Thought something.
Thought Rails and Thought-based.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always been our aspiration. And I think the last year and a half has shown the huge power in adaptability, organizational adaptability. And that's why I think the benchmark, there's no benchmark for me right now. It's just to be adaptable and do your own thing.
So marketing was in the center of your beginnings, right? So content marketing. Like for instance, we've never done paid marketing. We don't do outbound because we don't like it. I think it goes against our principles. It's for other companies, just not for us. But we focus 100% on inbound, and it's worked wonders. However, 90% of the deals I bring into the company is because of my network. It's because I just move around, go to conferences and talk in podcasts and meet people. I meet 3 different people every day, right? And so I generate this kind of deal flow. And then 10%, the other 10% of the deal flow comes through the website, or maybe like 1% residual something else. Sometimes it's Twitter, sometimes it's a podcast, sometimes it's this event or something else. But so I would say we have a lot of, a lot of like our faces as CEOs or leaders or founders of these companies. We work through recommendation, and I think that's very important. That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if getting on the cover of a magazine or something like that, or getting on TV or the radio would really bring much more revenue. The times we've been on TV was like something really small and was really stupid and didn't have any sort of effect. But happy clients, they keep bringing projects. And I guess that's the same with you. So you guys have got a lot of recurrence, right, with the happy clients, I guess. Do you have any metrics on that? Do you calculate metrics on client retention or something like that?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to, we've been trying to put some methodology into this, but in the end, we always fail. The volumes are so small in terms of, we run around 35 projects at a time, and yearly that's maybe 50 to 60 unique projects. So, these are not high volume numbers that you can bring some, you can bring some knowledge, some expectations, but not so many, I think. But yeah, we measure client retention, returning clients are, and referrals. This is the most important metric of all. I think that there's been this article in Harvard Business Review years ago, and it's called "The Only One Number You Need to Grow," and it's article about NPS, Net Promoter Score. That if people answer how likely are you to recommend this company, 8 or 9 or 10 out of 10, this is your sweet spot, because people will keep recommending you. And we measure that. Sometimes I think even too often. Our clients are fed up with answering this NPS like every quarter. We changed it to, I think, half a year right now. But yeah, so we measure that. I think sometimes you can't, you can't make everyone happy. And, that's obvious truth. But when you run a service company, you try to make everyone happy, right? Especially with the bigger you grow, the bigger complexities there are, the bigger hiccups there could be, the bigger compromises you make, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes, we do outbound, we do that kind of stuff, salesy, all that thing. We really want to grow. Like, we like growing. And so in that sense, I think, you realize at some point you just can't make everyone happy, because if you do in service business, you'll drive yourself crazy. And sad but true, and I've heard this multiple times from founders running service companies, that they had mental problems at some point because they tried to make everyone happy and it wasn't possible, and you just have to pick up the phone call that someone is not, the figurative phone call that someone's not happy and just accept it. You're doing your best, they're doing what, they have to make the phone call because they're not happy, and that's it. End of story, and you just do your best effort to make, to make up for that. And this is what I keep saying to my team, I mean, the team that manages the projects and manages the company. We can never make everyone happy. We aspire to, we want to, but there is very little space for mistakes, especially lately, man. Clients are easy to churn. So if you make mistakes, it's always a very good opportunity to lose a client, and I think we've been doing pretty good job recently on making everyone sort of happy. We're not getting the full NPS from everyone, but we're not either giving out discounts. If you're in service business, you know what I'm saying. Like, if you fucked up, you have to make it, give out the discount, right? So yeah, I think you have a huge responsibility on yourself, man, that you bring in the deal flow. And I guess it depends from person to person. I don't think I would be able to myself to live with that thought. I'm the deal flow, to be honest. That would be too hard for me. I mean, I bring in the deal flow, but it's just part of the deal flow. So I would rather ask the question to you, how do you handle this? What's driving you?
I suffered from a lot of vertigo the first 7 hires, something like that. By hire number 10, I was like, yeah, whatever. But I remember I had never hired a person. My 2 co-founders they had in previous companies. For me, it was first company, and moreover, I am a developer by trade. I learned how to do sales by running this company, and so, but they appointed me as the director of sales or in charge of sales because I spoke English and I traveled a lot, and they thought that was a good recipe, right? I said, like, let's see what happens. We have 6
Fair
months.
enough.
If not, we shut down, right? And I remember that, things picked up really from the very beginning. And we hired our first employee 6 months into the company, right? It was like, could have gone wrong, but it went really well. We hired somebody 8 months. We hired somebody else. By the first anniversary, we had already 3 employees, which was crazy. But with every one of them, I remember that suffering a lot of vertigo was the case, because I was like, okay, so now this man's salary depends on me. And the other funny thing is, one of my co-founders, Jordi, joined full-time 1 year after we created the company, because he had a really good position at another company and he had a child. And we're like, dude, don't risk it. Just take it easy. Just join when this is very stable, if it ever becomes very stable. And when he joined, I was like, wow, because I know him. We've been friends since childhood, and I know his wife. I knew his kid. I was like, oh my God, this is going, like, this took a toll on me emotionally. And then a couple more hires, and I got over it. I saw, like, oh, the company's growing steadily, it's stable. And so I got used to it. I know it's a huge responsibility to be responsible for that 90% of the deal flow, but I think, if I die tomorrow, like, we've got a plan B, right? But
That's piece of your worries, I think, if you die tomorrow. But yeah, still.
Exactly. I'm not going to be here, so fuck if I care. But no, of course I want the best for them. But I know that if I left the company for whatever reason, because I wanted to do something else, I could still be the face of the company, with sort of like an non-executive chairman or something like that, be associated to the brand, direct all deal flow to the company. So I know that this is most likely the likely outcome would be this. I'm not, other things of the company could do somebody else. What I think I am irreplaceable for is bringing so much revenue into the company. All the rest, the blog, the marketing, the sales, somebody else could do it. Maybe leadership. Right. We are a co-CEO, the 3 of us, so I'm not really that necessary, so to speak. So I don't know if that answers your question.
So you're 3 co-CEOs?
Sort of. Outwards, I'm the only CEO. And then we've got a CTO and COO. But internally, we adopted the titles only to appeal to other people, to talk to clients. Because initially, I was CMO, actually. We kind of it wasn't comfortable the first 3-4 years, because nobody wanted to be the CEO, but I think everybody, like the 3 of us, wanted to be the CEO. But we're like, we don't want to be above each other because we're best friends, right? So we're like, let's keep it at the same level. No CEO. We're like 3 different profiles. But then I realized that people didn't want to talk to the CMO for projects. They wanted to talk to the CEO. Sure. And that's why I said, like, look, I made the case. It's like, hey, outwards, I will be the CEO. Internally, I'm not really the CEO. Like we operate internally, like the 3 of us are CEOs internally. Right. But it's weird. It's always the elephant in the room. And the old hires, because we have a very low employee attrition, so most of our employees have been since the beginning of the company, and they have seen me as CMO, right? But the 3-4 new people we've had in the last years, they assume I've always been the CEO, and they don't know the full story. So that's why explaining it in a podcast, it's really great. Oh. How's it play out for you guys?
We're 2 co-CEOs, and that works well for us. I don't think it would work everywhere. Yeah, you probably know it by yourself. I mean, it works. It just works. But I don't think I wouldn't write the business article. Hey, this is your number 1 business strategy to do co-CEOing. I think it just depends really on the company dynamics and your dynamics between you 2 or 3 in your case. But I think right now it works really well between me and my partner. We're 2 co-founders, 2 co-CEOs, 2 partners, 2 co-owners. Everything's 50-50. It's just like a marriage, man. I've known this guy longer than my wife. So
yeah, me too.
It is like marriage, you know. And I see what you said. Yeah, there was no there was a CEO in the beginning, but then there was no CEO, and it always created some kind of a friction. We just called ourselves co-founder. I mean, everyone was really comfortable talking to a co-founder, but they didn't have the executive sort, what co-founder, but what, right? So then we made the choice with co-CEO because, we could go with CIO, chairmans of this world, whatever, but it showed off that there is some kind of a friction because, hey, doing something is friction, by pure logic. And we just went, hey, if we do co-CEO, someone might just remember us, hey, this is the co-CEO guys. That sort of thing.
But did you find that, like, talking to corporates, the titles had much more importance or not really?
Sort of, yes. Yes. And it's very, from what we've learned, again, Monterail is the biggest company I've ever worked in. So I have no prior experience. But from what I've learned is it helps to have all these ladders of roles even made up. So you have the matching role on the other side, everyone's, this is in business books, and it is actually sadly true. Well, not really sadly. And let me give you an example. One of our major clients is Prada.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult project. When you actually go, it's a lot of work, and it's impactful. And the person that runs this project right now is our COO, and she is the best at it. She keeps she keeps the lights on. She's been doing it for like over a year. No one can keep up with her to like keep the client happy. She's so experienced, and they like her so much, and she, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, she's the COO, so she can just make calls as she goes. As in, this decision, that decision. She has all the business context she wants. She has a very broad decision-making scope. So that helps. But on the other hand, it's kind of limited because when Prada wants to escalate, they just escalate to her because, there isn't much else. There isn't anyone else above her. But I mean, there is me and my partner, but, they wouldn't do that because they just want to talk to her because she's in the project and she's been in the project and they just go to her, and there is no one else. So obviously we need to have, a proper structure there, et cetera, et cetera. So when things really when shit really hits the fan, they should go to her. But in that sense, in corporate, I think there should be the appropriate structure when you're doing big projects. I think big projects. But you work with corporates as well, right?
Yeah, since early on, but I think like by year 3 we got the first one. Then by year 5 we mostly turned to corporates for whatever reason. Normally, the reason I gathered it's because at least in Spain they have like a certain threshold under which they're not able to hire you. Like if you're not older than 5 years old as a company, their procurement process will just like not accept you, or under $1 million in revenue, so stuff like that. And so we were, immediately disqualified from the get-go. After year 5, that was not the case anymore, and so we started getting, HP, and a couple of our clients were acquired. Now, like Spin got acquired by Ford, for instance. We got into Ford. Valuation Metrics got acquired by Citadel Securities in the US. So we got into a couple of corporates because of that, and then some others I just did the sale myself. But yeah, for me, it was not so much they want to talk to the CEO here, but I think they appreciate having, like, for instance, I still, the only project I've ever managed in the company, or since year 1, is our biggest client right now, which is Citadel, just because of a personal relationship I have. And in terms of discussing certain things of importance and of value with them, they appreciate this, that the CEO is involved in the project. But I think it's more of it's more like the exception than the rule here.
I mean, it's still good to be involved, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's fun for you.
I like it because otherwise I would like. There were 5 years in which I didn't manage any project, and so I lost the sense of how we work internally, how we invoice, how we talk to the clients and whatnot. And so this way, I mean, I'm not super involved, but I do reporting, talking to the client and whatnot. And I have the conversations going, and I know not to the nitty-gritty details of every task, but I know the project and the phases and whatnot. So, but yeah, I think that it's good to have like that. That was going to be my next question. How one of the struggles we've always found is scaling ourselves, like redunding. I don't know if that's even a word. Creating redundance for the founders so that somebody else can take over, and you scale yourself up, you upgrade yourself, without losing touch with reality, But at the same time, that if you're managing projects, you're coding, you cannot scale a company. How do you manage that yourself? Because you had to do it. We haven't had to do it yet, and I don't know if I want to do it, but
I mean, I'm very lucky to have such a great team working with us. Seriously, it's just a godsend, and our C team, CGO, Chief Delivery Officer, COO. These are very experienced people that I just like working with, and then they have very good grasp on the industry and our company, and very good gut feelings where our company is going. So I feel super comfortable having them. Then there's the heads team, or so-called usually you will call them directors, but we call them head of head of technology, head of finance, whatever. And these people are very good at their very specific fields as well. And again, that's very comforting. And these are what I've learned, I mean, they were instrumental to scale before 2022, let's say, right? Let's say 2022. I think we can both agree 2022 was the breaking point and where the
Right.
service industry sort of collapsed. I mean, sort of collapsed, right? So they were instrumental. The management team was instrumental to scale because they were doing all, they were making sure we actually hire the right people, we hire as fast as we can, and the processes are in place, or if there are in processes, they take care of that. And we all had to align all the time. Like we've done, do you know Scaling Up framework?
Yeah,
The
I'm familiar with that.
So the Rockefeller
I'll
Habits
link it in the
2.0, turn Vern Hernish type of thing. So we did that in 2021. We went through the whole Scaling Up course with Daniel Marcos, who's the co-founder of Gazelle's Institute. It's called. I think. And we've been doing a lot of aligning. Hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? And that was instrumental for the scale. And then now these people are instrumental to keep delivering the value, because they have the experience. And they're the ones really most experienced working with clients. They know how to deliver value to clients. And again, that's comforting in the end. Totally different realities, a little bit different expectations towards the role, but eventually instrumental to what we're doing, and we've been lucky and happy to have, to be able to have, or create a management team.
100%. Look, I could be talking to you all day about the 14 years of Monterail, but I don't want to ramp up without asking you about AI. Not because AI is trendy, it's because you posed a really good question on email, and that's actually the challenge that we're working on right now, which is, prices are going down, salaries are also receding, and our kind of companies find ourselves in the situation or the difficulty that people want to pay less for our projects just because there's AI out there, right? And they think, like, how can you become more efficient? We're working on this. We still don't have an answer. We tried, templating projects. We tried working with component libraries so that we don't have to do a design from scratch in every project. And we're trying AI, but we're still not at the point where we see a significant increase in productivity. Like maybe yours, unit tests. Okay, we can do this, but I don't know. Like, have you guys found any answer as to how AI is going to? Obviously, it's not going to replace us, not in the short or mid-term, but how can we use it to our advantage to become more efficient and cheaper?
I think that's the paradigm shift we've all been waiting for, for the last 15 years, because we've been building apps the same way since 2025, 26 or something, right? When Rails started off, picking off, and then all the frameworks, et cetera. And everyone was waiting, hey, what's going to change in tech? What's going to be the thing? And then Web3 came in 2021, I think, big time. And everyone was like, okay, this is the paradigm shift, the blockchain. But it was a bit, shaky because of all the crypto part to it, et cetera. And it finally turned out not to be the paradigm shift we all waited for, because blockchain is still, there are still amazing blockchain projects. I keep following amazing blockchain companies, but, it's not the paradigm shift. But the AI was the paradigm shift. And we're just living through this, and one of our one of our gurus and past clients said this recently to me. In tech, everything is in shambles right now because no one really knows, where it's heading, with AI and the recession, et cetera. And at some point there was a very strong narrative. There's the recession in tech, so everyone will going to be saving money using AI, and this is the solution to everything. But it all failed, at least for now. So we believe strongly that AI can automate a lot of stuff, and we've been automating stuff, but I think not as much as we still like to. I think first it has to do with how things have been done for the last dozen years. We built scalable, complex, stable software for months. These are kind of projects that we're all, you and I, our companies are used to building. And on it, and this is how our teams have done it so far. So the mindset is this has to work. There are no shortcuts. Even though every time we have me and my partner, we have a meeting with our with new joiners, we keep telling them, hey, one of our core values is actually figuring out shortcut and how to make things more effective. But I think the way we work right now and the type of projects we have, it's still difficult to adapt everything, as it's adapt as in, okay, benchmark being what we're saying on X, so Twitter, let's say, right, these days, right? What people are creating with things like Bolt.new or SoftGen, the Cursor, this stuff is just amazing, right? And this, this is the bench, this is the benchmark in everyone's populist minds, right? This is how fast software should be done. But it's, when I look inside my company, it's not. And obviously I know why not. But I think it requires specific mindset that it still has to change a little bit in our minds. That software can be done a little bit differently. It takes curiosity in developers' minds, in our minds too, because it's so hard to keep up with those tools, man. I mean, every month there's something new.
I know. That's one of the things I struggle the most with is I'm living half-baked projects every week. Side projects, not company projects, but it's like, I want to try this Versal's V0. Okay, perfect. Then Bolt.new. Okay, I'm going to try. And then, I don't end up doing anything substantial because, there's something that is slightly better. I'm chasing the new shiny thing. Maybe that's why I'm the CEO, right? But at the same time, that creates a lot of frustration because I keep accumulating a lot of corpses, right, in the background. And I'm like, okay, I gotta finish some of these. And my feeling is that I don't actually complete anything. I don't get anything substantial in AI precisely because of that, because it's flashy. It goes well for the demo, but most of these tools, they are not helping us because probably they're engineered for product-based companies, but not for service-based companies. The only thing that they really work for, like for instance, one use case we found with Versal's V0 is it's great for prototyping something to show to the client even before it starts, right? The client comes up with an idea. Look, I want this. We did it for a company from Andorra. They wanted to have a marketplace for second-hand cars. And we're like, okay, we're just going to prototype it like this so that in the sales process, look, it can look like this. And they're like, oh, wow, it's got our branding and everything. It's there. Outside of that, well, if we refine it further, maybe we can skip one phase of the UX UI project, but not much more, right? Not more than, say, like what Bootstrap brought us in 2014, or, component libraries 2 years ago, or something like that. I don't know. It's yet not very substantial. That's why I was asking to see if you guys had something more substantial. But seems like we're on the same boat in this. We still got to figure it out.
We're figuring it out. We have person internally in the company that has a dedicated time to actually implement this across the company. And yeah, the results often we see, hey, what's possible is like, wow, how can we implement this? And but yeah, like you're saying, it depends on the type of a project. We do see a lot of potential in the sales process, like you're saying, and presenting the prototypes. I think for developer one-on-one with code, you can also use the models. Hey, I'm trying to do this. How do I should do around that? Especially with remote work and everything, that people are not in the same office, not much around serendipity around. You're not jumping. You're not bumping into people and asking, hey, how should I solve this? You're not wasting people's time on Slack. Hey, I should. You're just asking the model, hey, what should I do? And that's one way to do it. And obviously this is happening, and we just set ourselves a goal into measuring how, what are the potential productivity gains. But again, keep up with all the tools. And what's the end goal? This is difficult, I think. So like you're saying, service companies, many different projects, many different contexts. So, there is a different solution. I think there is a different framework, sort of framework workaround solution for each kind of a client project, right? So that's why it's so difficult to scale it across a service company.
100%. And to wrap it up, we always like to have the signature question of the podcast. And people are like, why didn't you tell me this before? I needed to prepare. Like, no, we don't want people to prepare for this. But everybody fucks up, right? We want you to share what's been your most expensive fuck up as a company owner.
Back in 2015 or 14, we were struggling with scale. So we were still fairly small company, I think 20-ish, 30-ish. And we were running full steam. Right now I know it's called, we had the product market fit, like there was demand for our messaging, that was out there. Ruby and Rails experts from Poland, that was the claim at the time. And we've developed, our CTO and a few people from the team have developed a huge Rails open source thing. And we went with it to London for a Ruby event. And this is where this is where our CTO did the presentation. Hey, we're releasing this. And everyone was in awe. Nice. So we were, riding high, really making ourselves a name back then and back there. And we get approached at the same event by a guy from Penguin Books.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey guys, I have this project that Penguin Books has been thinking about for some time to digitize everything that we do. And this is the project we want to do. And we thought it should be in Rails and maybe you should do it. And I was like, nice. This is the great opportunity of the time. Penguin Books, big race project, nice brand. We just got it by doing open source, man. What else we could do better, right? So we came back to Poland and we started analyzing how can we, fit the project into our current scale. And looking, left, right, trying to squeeze everything in and out. We're like, no, we can't take any more projects. And we told Penguin Books, no, we can't do it. And I think I should have done more to actually fit the project. Because it would be...
you lost it?
No, we told them we can't do it.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for the opportunity, but we don't want to take it.
Did they come back?
Yeah. No. Afterwards,
So
when we were ready in like a year, he was like, well, I'm already working on it.
Yeah. No, normally this is one recurring problem we've always had. We've never solved. Big company comes knocking on our door. We say, sorry, we have no capacity. That happens once, it's okay. Usually they come back. But if that happens twice, they don't come for the third time, right? We were providers for Rakuten in the early beginning of MarsBased. And after 2 years, the project stopped because it finished. And we took on other clients. And they came after a year like, hey, you guys got any capacity? No, sorry, done. They came back after 6 months. You guys got capacity? No, we don't. They didn't come for the third time. And it happened with a couple of other big firms usually. And usually, they find somebody else and that's it. They don't need your services anymore. So that's why that really resonates with me. So sorry to hear about that. And thank you for sharing. It's great that you share. That's why I always share lots of my fuck ups too, because I think that the newcomers to the industry, they can be learning from us, and it's not all shiny. It's not like all golden when you're running a company your size or our size. It's, we got particular fires and fuck ups every week. So yeah. I could be filling a house with all of them. Look, there's 1 minute left. Szymon, you've been extremely generous with your time. Thank you for sharing all the learnings and experiences and whatnot. I'm rolling out the carpet for you. You got 1 minute to say, how can we help you? How can the community of Life on Mars, MarsBased, help Monterail or you personally? Let us know what is going on and what can we expect from you in the future.
We're looking for people who are super passionate about low code and how can AI can speed up development. And the people I've been talking to, the youngsters, I've been really inspired, and that's something really exciting right now that's happening. And this is where we want to go back to our beginnings, really. I haven't mentioned that, but we started a company because we thought web development or software development was broken at the time.
Oh, wow.
Java back then, man.
Yeah.
And the software was ugly. So what we wanted to do is to make beautiful software quickly. And, most of the time, this is what we do. But these days, making that kind of software, that takes a long time, man. And hopefully it's still beautiful. So what we want to do again is to jump on the fast and effective developing software again. And we're looking for people who are passionate about it.
Nice. Thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo. And best of the luck in your in your continued success to Monterail for many more years.
Thanks, Alex.
And that's it for today's video. Feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because that will help us to grow the channel, the Life on Mars podcast. And I'm recording this outro because we hired a marketer, a new director of the podcast, that is David, our newest member in the Martian spaceship. And he told me that this is going to help us to grow the channel. So if you're interested in our interviews, in our long ramblings that I record occasionally, or if you have new ideas, you have new people that you want us to interview, you got new ideas for formats, you have some questions for us, feel free to share them with us in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.